So, Rob Freeman, how you doing? You're in California. Can you tell me what's going on there?
Yeah, good, and it's good to see you. I saw you at the Alien Cosmic Expo in Toronto there.
Yeah. It was a good conference, the Toronto one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I enjoyed your talk.
Next time we'll have to make sure you come to our rabbit hole meeting. We have our rabbit hole meetings at night.
Absolutely. So we're here at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center, and it's a Making Contact project. So it's kind of a history-making event. We have Paola Harris here. We have Leon Valverde here for consciousness. Paola, of course, has been giving us history and research information and things about consciousness. Leon also did a session on consciousness. He led the meditations in the evening. One of the presenters that did that.
Who's Leon?
Leon Valverde. He's really he has a large YouTube channel for the whole Spanish community.
Wow.
He talks about consciousness and things like that. We have Costa McCrease and Hollis here. And of course, he has the big 20,000 member movement, ET Let's Talk. I think he's in over 100 countries.
Okay, yeah, I know him.
Got a powerful group of people here. And we, of course, have Stu Dunday, as you know, Stu, the National Director of MUFON Canada. We have Dave Palachuk. He's the Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada. So we got everybody here, and if we everything we're seeing, we're asking Stu and Dave to look at. We try to debunk our own sightings as much as possible. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at your email, but we had some really unique sightings a couple of days ago.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. So tell me about that.
Yeah. Maybe Destin could pull it up for you while we're talking. But let me just show you. Okay. So here it is, right here. There's one of them. Okay.
Oh wow.
Now that is a clip out of a video. Here's another one we got right here. Can you see that okay?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then this one here really is the best one right here. I don't know, does that show up on the camera, Grant?
Pardon me? Yeah, I can see. Oh wow.
Now,
is that a time lapse or is that a straight shot?
It's all with our iPhones. You know, in this phenomenon, as you know, I've got some heavy duty equipment, but probably at least 2/3 of the time,
yeah, I saw it.
We only get our stuff when we put the heavy duty cameras away. And we've actually captured quite substantial sightings just with our iPhones. So we had seen a flash in the sky. And I told everybody, turn your iPhones on and take pictures around the group. And that's when we got these. So there had already been a flash in the sky. And then people just were taking their pictures. And I always ask people, take 2 pictures in each spot for control. And when they looked at them, this was the kind of stuff we were seeing. And if you look really carefully, each flash shows 4 orbs or 4 lights. And that's over a quarter of a second.
Wow.
It's over a quarter of a second. So it literally means the flashing is 45 times per second. And then in each one of those flashes, there's like 4 orbs. There's 4 lights. I don't know how close I can get without blurring, but you can kind of see that there's 4 lights. So I can't say anything other than that's what we got.
Yeah.
So very interesting stuff. And we're going out this afternoon to Giant Rock. Before we go, Paola is going to do a 1-hour presentation and give us the complete history. She's already giving us a little teaser on it, but she's bringing us up to date on all the history, the rich history around Giant Rock, and how, you know, hundreds, even thousands of people flock there to see UFOs. And I understand there's been quite a large variety of unusual things that happen there. So we're going to learn about that this afternoon. She's going to bring us right up to date Paula Harris will be coming out with us. We have a local lady who does tours. She will also give us the history as we're in our vehicles heading out and on site. When we're there, we're going to be there from 6 to 11 tonight. And
Okay.
Once again, it's funny, Grant, because, you know, I brought all this equipment and I've literally got in total over $150,000 worth. The equipment that I brought here includes the thermal, the night vision, the full spectrum, all of that. Guess where it's sitting? It's sitting in the hotel room. We get more when I put it away.
So, I guess I could ask you, why do you think that is? And are you using a C5 protocol as cost to bring? Using what procedure are you using to bring the objects in?
Yes, we've been going around the world for about 3.5 years. We've learned the CE5 protocols. I've been on 2 Greer expeditions, and all of our group have been on 1 expedition. So we're very familiar with all that. We've been traveling around the world meeting other CE5 groups. And we typically, you know, interview them for the documentary, Making Contact, Be Inspired, which is coming out this fall, that chronicles our journey to literally making contact. We're looking to make contact with ETs, find out what our individual message is for ourselves, and find out what the message is to, you know, help humanity, help the planet, where, you know, us as a people has to go to from here. You know, everybody agrees we're in a really bad position in the world here at the moment. But we are using the CE5 protocols. It seems that this intelligence that's behind this knows everything, because we had 2 nights ago, we had an orange orb go right across the horizon. Now, once again, this phenomenon can copy things, but there's always something, a little telltale giveaway. The average person could look at it and say, oh, it's a fireball, it's a meteorite. This particular one, it went horizontal, it came on, it went horizontal, leaving no smoke trail, no flames, nothing like that, and it literally blinked out. A normal fireball will close down, maybe even if it's over a quarter of a second, but it closes down. Sort of like the old incandescent lights, when you turn them off, especially the bigger ones, you see them go off over a period of maybe a quarter second. The new LED lights, they're off instantly. This orb came across and it was out instantly, like digital. You know what I mean? And I was so happy because I've got time-lapse photography running for the whole event, like each evening, and it's visible. It's, you know, nice wide angle. It's 1.4 bright lenses. It's 40 megapixel pictures. And I thought, fantastic, I'm going to get this on the camera. We'll show it to the group after the presentations tomorrow, the next day, right? I reviewed the footage and it's not there. And it's like, why isn't this there? Why didn't I capture it? Like, it was bright. Everybody in the group saw it. Most of the time, when something happens, not all of the group is looking in the same spot. Everybody in the group happened to be looking in the right spot. 18 people. Now, that's another phenomenon, by the way. Anyway, so I thought, why couldn't it be? Why didn't I capture it? Well, the time lapse was set for 15 seconds. Then there's a 2.5 second processing time internally in the camera to deal with that photo, and then it takes another 15 seconds.
Okay.
The fireball, or the orb really more particularly, chose to light up in the exact time between frames.
Wow.
Now,
are you familiar with the Skinwalker Ranch stories? Where John Alexander calls it a conscious sentient phenomena, that it knows not only what you're doing, but what you're about to do?
Yes, yes. And I think the same is...
Have you experienced this before? How long have you been doing camera stuff?
We've been doing it for 3.5 years, and there's lots more stuff. I mean, we can get into that shortly. But here's more in this story. Is
Okay.
one of the other fellas, Buddy, you know Buddy, you've interviewed him.
Yes, I know, buddy.
Yes. He also saw a secondary one that shot to the right. Okay. Now, and it was just maybe a few seconds later or 15 seconds, whatever it
No,
was.
it's frozen up now.
Neither was it captured in the camera. So the second one, they chose to slot that in the exact time period between frames. So it wasn't just a coincidence on the first. You might say it was a coincidence, but when the second orb was also placed between frames, I have to believe that's legitimate. Now, if that's not good enough for us humans, one of the other attendees at the group here, Scott, he came forward and he says, Rob, could you go through the footage 2 nights ago, because I saw, you guys didn't see it, but I saw a similar orb, and here's where it was in the photo. He showed me, we brought it up on the TV screen, on the high def TV screen, said it was right there. I have another iPhone that is strictly used for audio documentation. Every time there's a sighting, Wendy Glont of our group, she records and gives the details. She gives the compass rose azimuth, or the compass rose degrees, like north, northeast, and so on. She gives the degrees up and describes what happened, so we can go back through the footage and find it. Anyway, I went back through the footage to the exact spot where we reported it on our recorder. Once again, it's not in the video. So for a third time, this other intelligence chose to slot the orb exactly in the in-between space between exposures.
Wow.
Yeah, so, you know, how much proof do we need? It's like they're saying, well, okay, 1 might be a coincidence, 2, not sure. But I mean, if it happens 3 times, then how are we supposed to deal with that?
Yeah. With the cell phone, were 2 people getting the photographs at the same time, or is it just 1 camera picking it up?
No, everybody in the group has a cell phone. Some have iPhones, some have Androids, some have other brands. And what we're finding is all the camera phones are getting it. As you may know, the filters they use in these camera phones are not expensive. They're very cheap. And so what, in our experience, what we have found is the phones will pick up things just out of visible range. For example, just into ultraviolet or just into infrared. The
Okay.
point of that is if you hold, you know, your remote control for your TV, press on the buttons and look at the LED, you won't see the light. But if you put it to the camera on your phone, especially the front-facing one, you'll see it light up. So the camera phones pick up just out of visible. So we've traveled all over the world, Australia, Peru, the UK, different places like Easter Island, all these places. And we always encourage people that are in the group, if there's others with us, always to be taking miscellaneous photos around the group and up in the air. And we get stuff. For example, here's one here, Grant. This one here was taken during the Greer expedition, and now there's the puja table and Dr. Greer in the background. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Now,
Okay. Yeah.
he sensed beings present, so he encouraged everybody to take photos. And he said, do not use your flash. It's very upsetting for other people in the group because it kills your own personal night vision for 5 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
This is what a member of the group got. Okay, that's self-lit around the puja table.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm going to just blow it up here. And you tell me what it might look like.
It does look like a being, yeah, with 1 leg under or whatever. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Now, so we take a lot of pictures. I've got tons of pictures here from various places that, you know, very unusual things. The Squamish orb, for example, I had the WMD, you know, weapon of mass detection. I had it set up. We were led to that place. We were out to see Charles. You've met Charles Lamoureux. We went out to Vancouver to meet him. We went on a sky watch. We were capturing orbs in Vancouver. The next night, he said, you know, why don't you guys go up to Britannia Bay? I'm going to stay home. The weather forecast is not looking good. So we went to Britannia Bay. We didn't have a good feeling about it. Then we stopped into a gift shop. We spoke to the two ladies there, and we said, do you ever see anything? She said, what do you mean? Well, any lights in the sky, anything strange? And they said, like UFOs? Yes. She said, not around here, but go up to the Rock, the Chief in Squamish. People have seen orbs around the mountain. So we drove up there, and the weather was getting better the more north we drove. So there was no rain up there. It was actually raining in Vancouver. We had the sense, and quite often we feel it. We feel it very strongly, you know, this whole thing around consciousness. We felt it strongly that we were going to see something. So we parked ourselves for 8 hours there, and you've probably seen the video. The camera, all the cameras were set up, but not running. I was talking to Marcus and Liz. All of a sudden, one member of our group, Breslin, said, what's that? And she pointed over to the sky, and I turned the equipment around, and I just had enough time to turn the night vision on, the zoom, and I got the orb. And I followed it for 10 seconds before it disappeared into the trees. Now, I didn't know if it was a satellite, the ISS, or what, but when I saw it light up the trees behind, you can hear me saying, oh. And, you know, different people have tried to debunk it, said it was the ISS. We actually went back with all the research exactly where the ISS was, and it wasn't visible. It was outside that time period by about 15 minutes. Plus, it would have been behind the mountain. Here's what Charles has found. Whenever the ISS goes over, for a period of time before and after, quite often there's orbs in the sky. He documents it. So, you know, in this phenomenon, we have found that it likes to copy, it likes to hear you. It throws most people off, and they think it's this or it's that. But the serious people who are really researching it dissect every little detail and will find something that's not quite right.
Yeah.
Like, for example, that.
Wow.
That was a contact in the desert.
Wow.
And we call it fish face.
And that's in the sky?
Yeah. And it was just a white dot going across the sky. And I thought, oh, that must be an airplane going over. And so, you know, everybody thinks, okay, who cares? These things hide in plain sight. So I did a video, and when I was doing the video, I thought, this is not quite right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. So I stopped the video, and I actually did a photo, which on that camera is higher resolution, and that's what I got. It's just very strange looking. Like, it's almost a plane, but not quite.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I stick into it.
Very interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so the Making Contact project, we're doing expeditions. This is our very first one. It's history making. We've got very powerful people here. We're in the field. We're not just researching, we're actually experiencing it. Myself, I had experiences as a kid. We don't want to just...
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so when I was 12 years old, I was in Scouts, and it was like March 28th, 1966. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
It was March 28th, I believe, 1966.
Yeah, it's fading out.
Yeah, there's not very good internet here at the retreat.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
I noticed, but it's okay.
my mom said, when Scouts is over, give me a call. I'll be there in about 15 minutes to pick you up. Just go outside the church. They have to lock the door. So when Scouts was over, I called her. I went outside. This was Sarnia, Ontario, right by the St. Clair River there at the bottom of Lake Huron. When I went out, these kids that were playing in the street said, hey, mister, there's a plane in the sky. There's a helicopter in the sky. I looked up and I saw a light. And there was no sound, Grant. And I said, it's not a helicopter. And the kids left after a few minutes, and I was watching this thing. It was going from north to south slowly. But when it changed direction, it made the hair on my arms go up because it changed direction in an instant. Most physical things have to come to a stop and then change direction, or at least go in an arc. This object, just completely in the blink of an eye, was now going in the opposite direction. So right away I'm thinking, well, what is this, right? This was during the big UFO flap of Michigan in 1966. And there had been things in the paper, so people were aware of UFOs at that time. And sorry? Go off your internet, guys, because don't go on your internet.
This occurred in Michigan?
No, it was Sarnia, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
And, that's right across from Port Huron, Michigan, right on the St. Clair River.
Okay.
At the bottom of Lake Ontario. Yeah. So each time it passed, going from north to south, it got lower. And I was there by myself, getting a little bit nervous. It was up at about 600 to 800 feet, and I could see a big light in the bottom. And when I looked closely, it looked more like a lens. And then what really kind of got my heart pounding was I could see figures moving behind this lens. And I thought, oh boy, what's going to happen? And then just then my mother showed up, and I told her to get out of the car and look up. She got out, and there was nothing there. It was gone. So now I'm the guy that has this imagination, right? So we go home and so on, and I tell my dad he's not interested. I tell my brother and so on. I go to school the next day. When I came home from school, my mom was all excited. She showed me the newspaper. It was on the front page of the Sarnia Observer. Over 200 people had seen it. They had witness reports from police. They were in contact with the Air Force Base, who had sent up 2 jet fighters to chase this thing. Well, as they approached, it took off at a high rate of speed, and it was gone. That was on page 2. Years later, like 4 or 5 years ago, I went to the library to get a copy of the newspaper.
Yeah.
And guess what? You figure page 2 is missing. Page 2 is,
oh my goodness.
We interviewed the people at the Air Force Base who actually sent up the Air Force, the jet fighter. I asked the librarian, why isn't page 2 here?
Interesting.
She didn't know, but she said, why don't you contact some of the other archives around the country? Maybe they will have it. I contacted everyone. Nobody has page 2. There you go.
Wow.
But anyway, now I'm a celebrity at school because I'm the guy at school who saw this that was validated in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So my good friend right across the road said to me, Rob, I'd love to see a UFO. How could we see one? And well, at that time he called them flying saucers. And this was back in 1966. So I said, I don't know. Maybe if we go on the roof of the house, we can see one. So a couple weeks later, we went on top of the roof of the house. It was a 1-floor bungalow. We climbed up the antenna. It's one of those XXX type.
Yeah.
With our blankets, with our pillows, with our binoculars, with our tape recorder, walkie-talkies, compass, flashlight, notebook, and a pencil. A really inexpensive version of what I have today. And we were up there. We were up there for about half an hour, and we weren't seeing anything. It was getting a little bit chilly. We were bored. I said to my friend, I don't think we're going to, and I got cut off right at the word see. I don't think we're going to see anything. Just as I said see, there was hundreds of lights in the sky go right from the horizon in the north, right across the sky to the south in literally 1.5 seconds. And it's like,
wow.
what was that? Could that be birds? No, it was like, high speed right across the sky in a second and a half. We didn't know what to think. Is it a meteor shower somehow? Just as we're saying that, the same flotilla of lights, which seemed to be up in the heavens, Grant, came back from the south and went right across the sky at the same high rate of speed, literally a second and a half. Our hearts were just pounding. We couldn't speak. We knew that this was not something from here. So we climbed out. We finally took our stuff. We climbed back down, put it away, went across the road to his parents' house where my parents were having coffee with them. We were so excited to tell them about this. I figured they'd be excited after the first one that was validated in the paper. They couldn't care less. They were playing cards, having coffee, and it's like, you guys go do your homework. So we kind of turned around and went back to my place and discussed and watched Star Trek.
Wow. Do you consider yourself an experiencer, or do you think you have some sort of mission based upon these early sightings?
That's the reason why we're doing this project. We want to actually make contact. I'll come to a story in a few minutes in Australia where we believe we actually did make contact with a being. But we want to make contact. We want to find out what a personal message for each of us is. Okay, we want to get our own personal mission. And as a group, we want to confirm or change what our group mission is. Until further notice, our mission is make contact, be inspired. That's the name of the project, Making Contact Project.
Okay.
We want to confirm, do they want us to keep doing this? Do they have a special message for us? We really, as you know, the planet is in trouble. We want to help. We want to document all of this, and we want to share it with the world.
Okay. And so relate the Australia, or maybe your interpretation of what you think the message is, your personal message.
Really what we believe is we're being guided through this. We all, because of the number of synchronicities happen, and things that are way too coincidental many times, we believe we're being led and guided. So we believe that they are picking and choosing the stories. We believe they're picking and choosing the sightings we're getting to share with the public. We believe this whole idea that, disclosure is kind of going to come from the people, and it's a little bit at a time, and we're documenting. We are kind of their tool, their media, their method, not the only one. You are in the same boat. Powell is in the same boat. We are all being used, or, we're asked to be used to get the message out that they are real, they're here, they're willing to help us. They cannot do it for us. We have to be the ones to save the planet, to save our species, but they will help, especially if we ask them. I don't know what the rules are intergalactically, Grant, but we got to do it. They will help us, but we have to do it.
There's a number of people walking around thinking that there's sort of good guys and bad guys. What's your experience over the many years you've done it in terms of who are we dealing with? Are we dealing with good and bad forces, or what are we dealing with?
Okay. You live in Winnipeg, right?
Winnipeg, yes.
Yeah. Well, just like big cities, there's areas and people living that are good and bad, and there's areas that are not so good. And I don't know about you, but I'd never specifically go to those areas or associate with those people. I know they exist. I've never really had face-to-face contact with these bad people in our cities because, you know, you start associating with them, you know, it can rub off on you. My dad always told me, always associate yourself with good people. So as far as ET goes, I have no experience. We have no experience with any bad ETs. They may or may not exist, but we always say a little prayer to protect ourselves. We always want to be associated with ETs that are of higher intelligence, of higher benevolence. You know, I don't pretend to know whether other ones exist that are bad, but we don't want any part of it, Grant.
Okay.
You know, and you know, we're spending our energy trying to associate with the good ETs, and that's the contact that we feel we are getting and will continue to get.
Tell me about your experience in Australia with a being, and what type of being do you think you're dealing with?
Yeah, so I was with Lauren Firth. She's an experiencer in Australia. We were actually there for 3 weeks. We had met Damien Knott. He had come with us on part of the 3-week time. It was Liz, Marcus, and myself. And on this particular night, we had spent a few days at Uluru at the Ayers Rock.
Okay.
And the one night I had asked Lauren, would you like to stay out all night with me? We'll take the equipment out. We'll see what we can see. So just the two of us went out. We drove down the highway, maybe about 10 miles past the resort, past the retreat, past the hotel we were at. We found an area. Now, you know, it's all open. It's kind of desert-like geography. There's the odd tree here and there. There's a few bushes here and there. But there were different areas where you could sort of casually pull off the road. There was no formal road there, but it was just sort of desert sand. And you could pull off, and there's bushes here and there. We had pulled off to an area where we felt we could set up the equipment. And we're maybe, you know, a few hundred feet away from the highway. And we were there all night, and literally about 1 or 1:30 in the morning, a car pulls in. And Lauren was a little nervous. I was a little nervous as well. I actually put my laser in my back pocket for protection, just in case. I would never want to shine it in the eyeballs of someone, but if they're going to aggressively attack me, they're going to get it in the eyes. If they have a gun, well, I'm no match against that. But he came in and he parked and he turned his lights off. And he was maybe a couple hundred feet from us. Lauren was nervous for me with all the equipment. She was nervous for herself as a woman. And she mentioned that. And I said, I think we should go over and talk to him. And she really cautioned me against it. And I said, look, I've got the laser in my pocket. I wanted to find out why he chose that spot to pull in. You know, there's hundreds of miles of nothing there in Australia. We went over, he got out of his car and he talked to us. And he was actually friendly. But he was very tall. And he said that he had just driven 18 hours from a mine in northern Australia somewhere. He had just gotten off work. We asked him where he was going, and he wasn't really disclosing that. He was kind of talking about other things. As we talked to him, it didn't feel like he was, how would I put it? He didn't feel like he was from this planet. He was saying things mechanically.
Okay.
He was dressed in his clothing from the mine where he was working, but Grant, it looked like he had just bought them from the store. They were all pressed with, like they had just been ironed. How could anybody who traveled 18 hours look like he just came from the clothing store, right?
Okay.
He was a very handsome, very good-looking man who... We asked him why he pulled in there, and he said he was going to go sky watching. And, you know, and then Lauren was very nervous, and he sensed that. And he said, if you prefer that I go somewhere else, I'll honor that. And Lauren said, if you don't mind. And, you know, internally, I was already suspecting that he was an ET. I didn't want to come right out and say it, and he left. And I said, Lord, he may have been an ET because, you know, look at how he was dressed. Look at how he was speaking. He didn't seem to know everything exactly what we were asking. Anyway, so we stayed out all night. In the morning when the sun was coming up, we drove back to the hotel, the complex, the resort. Now, I was on the highway. I was waiting to turn left. I did not remember seeing a car go by. As we were turning left, Lauren said, Rob, did you see that car that went by? And I said, no, I never saw a car. She said, that was him from last night.
Wow.
He was going in the opposite direction, back to where we were. And I said, well, let's turn around and follow him, because if he's an ET, we want to talk to him. We turn around literally in 5 seconds flat, and as I'm looking down the road, there's no car. So we continued down all the way back to where we were, and we never saw him. And now we were, you know, going at a high rate of speed. I won't disclose how fast we were going. I don't want to get a retroactive sticker here. But we would have caught up to him in literally minutes. And there was no other car all the way back to that spot. So we believe that this was likely an ET guy. We believe it was.
Wow. Do you have a place where you post all your stuff, or are you doing documentaries, or how do you get the word out?
Yes. Personally, I have a channel. It's just called Rob Freeman. What is this? Atmospheric Anomalies. Rob Freeman.
Okay.
Atmospheric Anomalies.
We'll link it.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. And we have the Making Contact Project. We have MCBI project.com.
Yes.
mcbiproject.com, and that shows it's quite a rich website. Liz has worked very hard putting it together. It documents all our past expeditions, and up until now they've all been just us meeting people, going out in the field. This one here at Joshua is our very first where we've invited others to come with us. But we will have 3 levels of expeditions. We'll have continue to go privately. We will also have ones where there's strictly people like yourself who are invited, Paola and so on. We'll have another level where it's anybody, you know, first-time people who want to get invited. We may even have a 4th level where it's just advanced people. As we continue to do this, it will evolve in what seems to be really the best thing to do. But I guess the bottom line is, Grant, is, you know, there's a lot of people who are armchair critics. I'm sure you've run into them. They can tell you everything about UFOs, but they've never seen one themselves. And I've got this one here, for example. I posted this on websites, and this is 100% legit. We got this near Cusco, Peru. Okay, can you see it?
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Now, people think it's fake, yet they will post fake stuff that gets, you know, 2 million views. This is 100% legitimate. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, I look at a few things on the internet, but not too much. We want to get out there in the field, spend more time actually with the people who are experiencing it, and go out and see it and experience it for ourselves. And ultimately, we do want to make contact. We are finding the phenomenon is getting closer and closer and closer to us as well. I mean, it's, you know, typically when we do a meditation, I mean, we take pictures around the group and we pick up stuff.
So how long do you meditate for? What's the procedure to set this thing up?
It depends on who's with us. You know, we honor the people that we meet. So if they have their own sort of version of a C5 protocol, we go with that. What we have found is it really doesn't matter. It really comes down to the intent. And if you want to use this protocol or that, that's great. But I don't think anybody should get hung up in it's exactly got to be this way, or they won't show up, or it's got to be exactly this way. We have found it's really what's in your heart, and it's your intent, Just like when I was a kid, we went on the roof believing we would see them. And we did. So, we go through different protocols. We've used the Stephen Greer protocols. We honor the protocols of the people who we meet. And if you really do a meditation, and once again, the actual meditation doesn't matter. You can do various body relaxation meditations. You can use the prayer bowls with the tones. You can do whatever works to bring your, turn the monkey chatter off, bring yourself into your right brain, into that very, very calm and peaceful spot. And it works. People should not get caught up in dogma. That's what religions are all about, right?
Yep. And where do you live, actually? You're in Canada, right?
Yes, I live just northeast of London, Ontario, on a farm.
Oh, okay. Any future excursions where Desta or I or other, we might meet up with you?
Well, we're going to be at the ESETI Ranch, and you'd be welcome to join with us there, Grant. When's the time period on that? Okay, it's going to be September 6th to the 9th. We'll likely be there for a day or two ahead of time. At the actual ESETI Ranch, though, it's 6th to the 9th because they only do it on weekends. That's James
Gillian's.
Yeah. So we've got accommodation reserved there. We've actually got the cabin on the lake. Now, nobody's staying there, so if you and Desta want to come, you'd be totally welcome.
For you.
Okay. Okay.
We have a bed there, two beds.
Okay.
You're going to California at that time?
Yeah, you guys are in
Pretty
California.
city, but that's where in the chest is. What's that?
So yeah, if you and Desta wanted to come, you're totally welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know how your calendar looks, but we'll be there.
That's the same weekend as Ricardo Gonzalez at the Mount Shasta with his events there. Have you interacted? You mentioned Peru. Have you interacted and done any sort of field work with Mission Rama people?
Yes, we met with, we've been with Sixto Paz Wells many times, actually.
Oh, is that right? Oh, tell me about this. I'm interested.
Yeah, we interviewed him for about 3 hours in his backyard. And he told us about all the possible things that can happen around the phenomena. We went with him for a week-long expedition to Easter Island, saw a lot of things there. Right after meeting him, it was just 2 days later that we got that in the skies near Cusco, Peru. That one that I showed earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was he there when that took place?
No. We were on the beaches of Playa Yaya, and we had no less than 7 different things that
okay.
happened. Yeah. So we've learned all about Mission Rama. Sixto told us all about that, about his experiences and so on, and the Zendras, and all those kind of things.
Did you happen to tape the conversation with Sixto?
Yes, it'll be in the documentary coming out this fall.
Wow. Have you got a promotional thing for your documentary? We may have a contact to help you.
Okay, I'll have Marcus get in touch with you because I'm not sure.
Good. Okay.
Distributor at this point. Okay, we do have offers of distribution, but there's nothing that's actually been finalized yet, Grant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can discuss it. We have sort of a contact you may not have, but anyway. So a lot of this is going to be documented. And the Zendras, have you got any experiences or opinions on Zendras? That's because I'm doing a book on that. I'm just interested.
Yes, we've had ourselves, we haven't actually experienced the Zendra, but we've had, how would you explain it? We've had strange anomalous things happen in time, and we've had, for example, on the beach in Playa Yaya, when we were leaving, after the evening was over, we got stuck in the sand with the car. What had happened was we had seen lights behind the car, and we did not see the lights leave. All of a sudden, the lights are down the beach. The vehicle was down the beach. We didn't see it change from behind the car to over down the beach, and we were watching, like there was something strange happened there. So when we took our equipment, put it in the car, we didn't want to turn the lights on. So because we didn't turn the lights on, when I was turning the car around, I didn't see to stay on the very narrow gravel part, and I went into the sand and got stuck. And we didn't know we didn't know what to do. So we called the rental company. They sent a tow truck. They said it was going to be there around 11. This was 9:30 at night. At that point, many strange things happened. We saw a police vehicle with his lights on. Apparently they do that in South America when they're patrolling. They put their lights on.
Okay.
On the highway that was parallel to the beach, maybe 800 feet in.
Yeah.
Going by the power plant. And we wanted to get his attention. We thought it's going to be an hour and a half before the tow truck comes. Maybe he can call a tow truck for us. We flashed the lights. We honked the horn. We turned the lights on and off, high beam, low beam. I went in front of the vehicle, jumping up and down, doing jumping jacks. Nothing, Grant. He drove by. Then about 15 minutes later, another police officer drove the other way. Could have been the same guy. We did this very same thing again. Now, Mark has this all documented on camera for the documentary. So number two, he drove by. Then about 10 minutes later, a police vehicle comes after that. Yeah, a police car comes to the road that's perpendicular and turns right where we are, within 10 feet of us. We're flashing the lights. We're waving at him. He drove by, not even seeing us. Okay, so it was like a one-way mirror. We could see him, but he could not see us. Okay. So
wow.
Then we saw a tow truck. Now there's nobody else around. We're the only car on the whole beach. And it's a very large beach, all open.
Yeah.
We saw a tow truck coming. He slowed down on the highway and took his very large spotlight and shone over to the beach. He lit up the car. I got out, I waved at him. Liz flashed the lights, we honked the horn. He kept doing that, looking, and he drove right by us 400 or 500 feet away. We saw him way down the beach, again shining the light. We thought, somehow our driver has missed us. Liz called the rental company. They got on the line to the tow truck driver because we thought maybe we've got to be more specific with directions.
Yeah.
He came back on the line and said, that's not your tow truck. Your driver isn't due for another half hour. So then finally, around 11 o'clock, whenever it was, we saw the tow truck driver on the highway. We're looking again with his lights. As soon as we flashed the lights.
He couldn't see us.
Yeah, he could.
No, I called.
Yeah.
They say the tow driver cannot see me.
Yeah, that was the first one, yeah. So once I flashed the lights, that driver came right to us, and it wasn't a problem. Now, here was the other strange thing that happened. He got a cable from the back of the tow truck that was like a cord. And I says, I don't think that's going to pull us out. And he says, no problem, it will work. And I thought, this is an experienced tow truck driver. It's going to work.
Yeah.
As soon as he went to pull us out, the cable broke. Then finally, so many strange things happened. There were some strange anomalous things that happened prior to all of that. We had a light shine over at us from the point, and it's a point that is not accessible by people. We shone the laser, not at it, and it blinked back at us. When we analyzed the footage, it didn't even waver. You know, somebody holding a light would waver.
Yeah.
This was exactly. 1 second, Grant. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah. So, okay. So, moving forward, we're going to be releasing documentaries every 6 months. We've got so much material from the last 3.5 years. It won't fit into one documentary. So we're going to be releasing various documentaries, and it's our continuing journey.
On real time.
So it's in real time.
3,000 hours.
Yeah. We've got about 3,000 hours in the field already. And
Oh my God.
we've interviewed, I don't know, I've got to say 200 or 300 people. And I mean, every one of them is unique. So we're trying to get the message out. It's really chronicling our journey towards making contact, and it will continue to chronicle what the message is that we receive. It'll chronicle what our purpose here is. So it's not just entertainment. It's an ongoing record and chronicle of our path and the message we're being given by the ETs.
Any idea when the first segment will be ready to go?
I think we're
We are
going
going
to
to
be
train Paula, Starworks, the premiere.
we're going to be premiering it at Starworks at Paula's conference in Laughlin, Nevada.
Oh, wow.
So it will be that'll be.
Well, we'll be there. Good.
You're going to be there, Grant?
Yes, both Des and I will be there,
Fantastic.
and that'll be exciting. The big question is, did you win the 649, or how are you financing this?
Well, here's what happened. Here's how it all worked out. Is my friend Mark McNabb, he's a producer. We've done a few movies together, children's movies.
Okay.
And during one of the sets, between sets, there's a lot of downtime when the actors are getting their makeup ready. People tell stories. And I happened to tell them the story of when I was a kid with the UFOs.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, he went away for several months and did research. And he came back to me, and we met for lunch or whatever it was. And he said, Rob, we're going around the world. We're going to meet people who've made contact, and we're going to make contact ourselves. And we're going to travel around the world. We're going to get equipment, and we're going to document this. And I said, that's great, but who's going to pay for it? He said, you are. I was very fortunate. I had a business, London Telecom, and when I sold it, I did very well. I started it from scratch in 88 and sold it in 99, and I did very well. It was it was a passion project also, and the side effect was that I did very well financially with it. And so at the moment, I'm financing this. So we hope to. And I've got one more thing to say too, Grant. That Squamish Orb.
Yep.
We have,
yep.
Once again, we have Stu Bundy, the national director of MUFON, with us, and Dave Palachuk. He was very kind. Stu was very kind to bring the brochure out here to Joshua Tree. He presented it to us. And the Squamish Orb has been picked as one of the top 13 sightings in the world.
For 2017.
For 2017. So we're very honored to have it completely documented in that publication. And it's also in their book for sightings of 2017 as well. So
is that a photo or a video? I think I saw some. Somebody showed me something like that.
It's a video. Yeah. If you just search Squamish Orb, it'll come
up. I think somebody showed that to me.
Yeah, it'll come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So we're going to have to do some updates, especially when you're in an area where we got some good signal, because you're one of the most interesting people I've run into in a while. You got fascinating stuff. 2 last questions, and then we'll let it go, and we'll catch you again a little bit later. Desta will set it up. And these are bizarre questions. I was just in Boulder, Colorado. Had a little bit of trouble at the border. What do you tell them when you go to the border? What you're doing? Do you mention UFOs, aliens, and stuff?
Actually, it's very interesting, Grant. All this equipment, I use the Carney document. It's a document that you get from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and it lists all your equipment, the value, and you have to pay based on the value. And that's your document you give the customs when you leave Canada and when you arrive in the States, and they just verify that it's all the equipment that's listed. It's so that you don't have to pay import and export taxes. Every single time on both sides of the border, the agents ask what we're doing with all this equipment.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, when we tell them, they hold us up at the border, not to question us in a bad way. They want to know all about the UFOs. And so
there you go.
We pull all the footage out, we show them, they bring in their other friends. And, you know, we kind of feel it's not fair because the people are waiting out in the waiting room to be, you know, tested, and we're busy showing the officers videos, and they're so excited about it. And without question, it's nonstop. So obviously, you know, we promote the documentary as well, and we'd always leave the border in a feel-good situation.
Wow, fantastic. And I guess last question, this is kind of a little bizarre one. You've got all the high-tech stuff, you know what's going on. What kind of cell phone do you use? What kind of camera?
This is the iPhone 10, but it was captured. That one was just an iPhone 7, I guess, at the time. Yeah. But it's funny, you don't need all this high-tech equipment. Just use your cell phone.
Beautiful. Well, I really appreciate it. I'm honored to have talked to you, and thanks for doing it. And I'll get Desta to contact you, and maybe you can come on my podcast show, and we'll help you wherever we can to help you get your message out.
Grant, thanks so much for having me on your channel, and you and Desta are welcome to come out with us anytime, and that includes going to Peru. We're going to do a very private expedition, another one to Peru, and you're personally welcome to come.
Wow, that's exciting. We'll stay in touch, and we will probably join you at some point. It sounds very exciting.
Excellent. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in Laughlin.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. We'll see you in Laughlin.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.